1. Chapter 1 of Clara Vaughan, Volume 1. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Lynn Thompson. Clara Vaughan, Volume 1 by R.D. Blackmore. Book 1, Chapter 1. I do not mean to describe myself. Already I feel that the personal pronoun will appear too often in these pages. I shall attempt to hide them no more than would those beloved ones. Enough of this. The story I have to tell is strange, and short as my own its preamble. The day when I was 10 years old began my serious life. It was the 30th of December, 1842. And proud was the kiss my loving father gave me for spelling, writing, and pronouncing the date in English, French, and Italian. No wonderful feat, it is true, for a clever child well taught, but I was in no means a clever child, and no one except my father could teach me a single letter. When, after several years of wedlock, my parents found new joy in me, their bliss was soon overhung with care. They feared, but durst not own the fear, lest the wilful, passionate, loving creature on whom their hearts were wholly set should be torn from their love to a distance greater than the void of death, in a word, should prove insane. At length they could no longer hide this terror from each other. One look told it all, and I vaguely remember my hazy wonder at the scene that followed. Like a thief, I came from the corner behind the curtain loops, and trembled at my father's knee for him to say something to me. Then, frightened at his silence, a thing unknown to me, I pulled his hands from before his eyes and found hot tears upon them. I coaxed him then, and petted him, and felt his sorrows through me, then made believe to scold him for being so naughty as to cry. But I could not get his trouble from him, and he seemed to watch me through his kisses. Before I had ceased to ponder dreamily over this great wonder, a vast event, for a child of 7, diverted me. Father, mother, and Tooty, for so I then was called, were drawn a long way by horses with yellow men upon them. From enlarged experience I infer that we must have posted in London. Here, among many marvels, I remember especially a long and mysterious interview with a kind, white-haired old gentleman, who wore most remarkable shoes. He took me upon his lap, which seemed to me rather a liberty. Then he smoothed down my hair and felt my head so much that I asked if he wanted to comb it, having made up my mind to kick him if he dared to try such a thing. Then he put all sorts of baby questions to me which I was disposed to resent, having long discarded Cock Robin and Little Red Riding Hood. Unconsciously, too, I was moved by nature's strong hate of examination. But my father came up, and with tears in his eyes begged me to answer everything. Meanwhile my mother sat in a dark corner, as if her best doll was dying. With its innate pugnacity, my hazy intellect rose to the situation, and I narrowly heeded everything. "Now go, my dear," the old gentleman said at last. "You are a very good little girl indeed." "That's a great lie," I cried, for I had learned bad words from a flighty girl taken rashly as under-nurse. The old gentleman seemed surprised, and my mother was dreadfully shocked. My father laughed first, then looked at me sadly, and I did what he expected. I jumped into his arms. At one word from him, I ran to the great physician and humbly begged his pardon, and offered him my very dearest toy. He came up warmly and shook my father's hand, and smiled from his heart at my mother. "Allow me, Mrs. Vaughan, allow me, my dear sir, to congratulate you cordially. The head is a noble and honest one. It is the growth of the brain that causes these little commotions, but the congestion will not be permanent. The fits that have so alarmed you are at this age a good symptom. In fact, they are nature's remedy. They may last for 7 years, or even for 10. Of course they will not depart at once, but the attacks will be milder and the intervals longer when she has turned 14. For the intellect you need have no fear whatever.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?